Welcome to Rich Talk, where we keep the conversation going.
The host of this episode,
Shayler.
Steve.
Nautica.
Episode 10. We're still at it. Today we'll be talking about creating a media business and cultivating a brand. And then a little bit later we'll get into black in the workplace. But let's just hop right in, you all. Well, we got Naut here. How you doing, Naut?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Steve, we just chopped it up, but welcome
Still
back.
doing good.
Still doing good. That's great to hear. Love your shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shout out to Black Media Association.
Thank you.
So yeah, I guess we'll start with you, Naut. Can you tell me a little bit about Black Media Association and what it's like creating a media business?
Yeah. So Black Media Association, BMA, is an organization founded upon expanding and creating content, not just for Black story writers and storytellers, but we want to go abroad. So we want to expand. We want to get those journalists. We want to get those public speakers. We want to get those PR representatives. We want to expand to everyone. And we want to bring you in. We want to help you create your content, expand your network, and just build our community.
Yeah. And why is that so important, especially for Black storytellers, Black creatives, Black thought leaders?
Because our time is now. I genuinely think that now is the time for us to be able to create the content we want to create, use our voices, be able to create the art, create the content, do whatever we need to do now to push our stories forward. Because a lot of times, as Black people, we can be put on the back burner, our stories can be told last, or they can be in the mix. But what about if we want to be pushed to the forefront and we want our stuff out now?
Yeah.
So I think it's critical.
Yeah, definitely. And then just with the Rich Family brands and creating space for Black storytellers and providing enrichment to a diverse array of people through our perspectives, I found it to be very rewarding and very fulfilling to see what it's like when we can come together and really create quality content, and it's not being we don't have to walk or we don't have to overcome the same gatekeepers because it's spaces that were built for us.
Yeah.
Because for so long gatekeepers have tried to keep us out of spaces and shrink us and not give us the same stages.
Yeah.
So I think designing and cultivating these brands with that in mind, it allows us to be intentionally fruitful for our communities. I wouldn't have it any other way.
I think the time is now that is the key.
Yeah.
That should be locked up,
Yeah.
put in everyone's mind because
Yes.
the time is for real
Yes.
now. You see so many Black voices, Black stories being shared more intentionally,
Yes.
more widespread now. And I think we should, as a generation, capitalize on that because who knows, man? There's a lot of eyes, a lot of folks who don't like that. I didn't even think about that, and I try not to think about the people who don't like it
Right.
because,
Right.
but that's true. There are people who want to see our downfall. I mean, we see it happening every day. Just with the rhetoric, fake news, when it's coming from Black sources, it's fake news.
Yeah.
But if anyone else was to say it, it'll automatically be validated and legitimate. So yeah, but Steve, you are not only do you work in the, I guess, storytelling space, but you are more of a creative as far as graphic design and being the face of these companies as far as virtually. You're creating the images that they see. How is that and how is that working with Black entrepreneurs and Black storytellers?
I think the one thing that I've noticed that is pretty common is that there isn't as much of a structure for the face, or I guess the bar hasn't been set where it should be, and I think that's unfortunate. But I think it also creates an opportunity for Black entrepreneurs and Black business owners and storytellers, because we have the tools. All of us really have the tools. There's tools like Canva. There's, you can go into Photoshop, and Photoshop is almost as powerful as Adobe software is now. But even if you have access to graphic designers, that can really elevate the look and feel of your brand. And you can have a brand that just started yesterday looking just as good as Nike. And I think we should all be operating at that level.
I think that's so important. Like me and Steve, we collaborate on a lot of things. We're partners. We have a company that y'all learn more about later. But I know that the standard that we decided that we were going to set is elite.
There should be no other. There should be no other.
Elite. And it's so good to be in spaces with people who are like-minded thinkers, not just on the degree of the stories that they want to tell, but the level at which they want to tell those stories and the level at which they want to present their companies. Because, like y'all said, the time is now, but we have to capitalize on that moment. We can't just show up any kind of way. You can't just show up any kind of way. And I think that that's just about, I guess, understanding the value that we bring. I think that we've talked a lot about that on different Rich Talk episodes, is understanding our value. And what would you say is just the value that creative spaces for us brings to the community?
I think that, this term is thrown around like all the time, diversity and inclusion. But I think that is what it really brings. Like, we may all have a Black face, but we're all diverse in the Black space. Like we're not one-dimensional. And I think that's what I love about Black people, because I could meet a Black person who's into anime. I could meet a Black person who loves country music. Like, we are so diverse, and I love that. And I think that's the value that we bring. I also think that now, since our time is now, we have to put emphasis on our execution. I think that our execution has to be at a level that is not lazy. Is not it doesn't speak procrastination. Like, it has to be top notch. And I think that once we really master execution, I think that'll be another value.
I think each story, like you're saying, each story is so individual and has so much to tell. And I think, like you said, the execution matters, because it's important how we tell that story. I was talking with a old college friend of mine who's looking to build a show around his own story. And all we were talking about was what it's going to look like, who's going to be a part of it, and timeline and everything like that. And at some point we just slowed down and said, how are we going to execute? How are we going to execute? And there's always, I think, in the space that we live in now, there's this thing that it feels like you have to just put it out now. Do it now. And it's important to do it now, but do it right as well. Because stuff sticks around. Stuff sticks around, and once it's attached to your name, you gotta make sure you have all the positive vibes, good quality. Like you said, no procrastination vibes. It doesn't look like it was lazily put together. That's whatever you put out will be attached to your reputation.
That digital footprint, it's not going away. It's not going away. Whatever you put out there is going to come back.
Literally.
It's going to come back.
People can do a live, and somebody has got the screen
they screen grab.
Like,
you thought it was just going to be there for that moment, but
I saw somebody tweeted a screenshot of Kevin Hart in like 2006 or something like that.
Oh my
like,
God.
whoa, you just saving it? And it was so relevant for what was happening now. And
I mean, I think that's how he lost. I think he was supposed to be hosting something, and he had lost that. On the award show, and he ended up losing that.
There's nothing
because
is temporary.
No, but that timing, and that desire, or that feel the need to produce and deliver, that really resonated with me. And it brought me back to our conversation that we were just having about Clubhouse. How I had hopped on there and I was being inundated with all these things, and it was just like, I stopped getting on there, and because I was taking my notes, and I was just like, it's time for me to apply these things, and I can't just come back and have the same questions because my questions aren't getting answered. Like, I'm learning new things, so it's just like you can't be producing, learning, developing, doing your self-care that you need to invest into your business all at the same time.
Right.
Like, you can't be doing all that. So it's just like sometimes you do need to dial it back, and you need to just sit in what you have and be like, okay, what's my plan? Like, what's my plan? And then you need to budget time. Like, okay, this is when I'm gonna do this. This is when I'm gonna do this. And when you have that plan, you're not so much as feeding into what the outside world is expecting of you. You're feeding off of what you're expecting from you, and you're running on your own timeline. And I think that that's what we as Black creatives and us as cultivating Black media brands or any Black brand, I think that we need to, even though like our time is now, like y'all said, we need to focus on that execution and understand that there's always going to be space for us. There's always going to be space for us because what we bring, like you all were saying, is so diverse and the value of it is so high. Like, when you deliver, just come with it. Come with it. Like, it's going to be space for you. Like, there's room for us all to eat. Like, as long as you come at the level that you want to be fed. Like, don't just come. Don't just come with the empty, like a empty structure or being incomplete is fine. Like, being incomplete is fine, and working at your own timing is fine. But like, understand that where you are is what you're going to get. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so if you're a social media brand and you your outputs are you're getting 50 views on your post and you're trying to do brand partnerships, then you have to understand that
the type of brands you're going to attract. Are going to be.
Now, micro influencers, you can market that, and you can align with brands that may be paying a little bit more, but it's all about how you leverage your plan and how you leverage your value that you bring. Because of that diversity, you have to lean into it and figure out your value.
Right. And value shows up in a lot of different ways. I think one thing that I've learned through this startup that I'm trying to get going is with micro influencers, there's a lot of value besides just the followers. Some people provide value through like you said, having a diverse type of audience. Even if it's small, you have a diverse audience that the brand is trying to tap into. That's value. If you can create amazing content, and they just want amazing content, they don't matter how many followers you have, right? That's a different type of value. So there's so many types of values that people can provide, and it's important to provide value the way you want to provide value.
Right. On your time. Like, on your time. Like, don't get caught up in the hype. So this allows us to lean into another topic, which is Black in the workplace, because we're talking about spaces that we're building for us. But what about entering the spaces that were not traditionally built for us? If y'all want me to go first, I can share my personal experience because actually just recently I was in a white space, and it was a place of my work that I go to. I have my desk. I have, my space where I'm supposed to go and produce outputs for this company, right? Like, this is supposed to be a space that's comfortable for me and secure for me. But in that space, this white woman felt it was okay to call me the N-word. Well, no, she didn't call me the N-word. She just said it in conversation. She said it in conversation. And I felt personally attacked.
I feel personally
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was a song playing in the background, and she just felt like it was okay to go right along with it. Like, and I'm like, so I had to get up. And I had to leave that office space, and I had to go talk to the only other Black person that works in the administrative team. And I'm just like, sis, what, like, what, how, why? And after I decompressed, I did end up going back and speaking with her, and kind of having a conversation as far as like, as far as our working relationship and how you operate on the daily, I would have never expected for you to do something that was so offensive. And she acted as if she was like, like she was apologetic, but she acted as if she didn't know, didn't know that this was something that was offensive. And I feel like that's what we find as Black people in a lot of these white workspaces is they don't know how to value us and know how to support us. And I think that's troublesome in 2021.
Yeah, that's extremely troublesome that she didn't know. And obviously, you know, I think most of us would find it hard to believe that in 2020 that you wouldn't know about that, especially after, or this is 2021 now, but especially after 2020 with what happened. I think it made it so that you could not know. Know.
Right.
Yes.
So I've been in a situation like that as well, actually.
See, it shouldn't be this common. It should not be this common.
It should not.
And I had another situation. Well, I think you were there, Steve. You were there. We were there together. You were there. Like, EMU, y'all remember? I don't know.
The wall?
Yeah, the wall. The wall. Not only the wall, but like for it to happen triggered multiple times. And we laugh about it now, but it's painful. We experienced coach our whole community culture at our undergraduate institution was attacked multiple times in one semester. And I actually attend to HBCU now. That was a PWI. I attend to HBCU now, and I relayed this story of what happened to my professor because we were having an open dialogue in class about just experiencing discrimination and things of that nature. And he was like, "Oh, okay, but other than that, you enjoyed your experience?" And I'm just like, why should I have to compartmentalize that and then just be like, oh yeah, but I enjoyed my experience? No, like,
this was a hit.
Right, I was attacked.
Right.
Like, I was attacked. And anytime we're in these white spaces and we're attacked, like those, not to say that we're tallying up attacks, but these are things that compound our trauma.
Right.
Like, these are things that compound our trauma, and these are things that speak to the lack of diversity and inclusion that we were talking about in the first half of the show. Like, so
I think in situations like that, it's so important that, and I'm so glad that you said, like, you directly spoke to her. Because it's in situations like that where in the past we weren't given the opportunity to speak up. We're in a space now where we can speak up. We're empowered to speak up. I believe that we're empowered to speak up. And now at least you know that you have contributed to, hopefully, you know, if she really was apologetic, she doesn't do that again and traumatize somebody else.
Right. The thing was, when I was telling her that how she offended me, she was like, "Yeah, I know. I hate that word." So why would you feel the need to say it?
Right,
like,
you used it though.
Yeah. Right, you hate that word. So I think it's just, like you said, because we have this power, I think that it's holding people accountable and like not taking, not allowing for things to be brushed over. And
that's good.
Like, because our people have moved too strongly on our behalf before us, for us now to get lackadaisical and not take up as much space as them, if not more. Because we have more leverage, I say, now. We have more leverage, so I think that it's time that we actually leverage our value and like don't allow for spaces to not accept us, not value us, and not support us.
Because I think I have a situation. So I am a graduate assistant, and the woman who does HR is white. I mean, like, not HR, but she oversees payroll, all that stuff. So I had worked, and I guess during that time I wasn't supposed to work because it was like during a break.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, I worked, where my check at? Like, where
Right.
my money at?
Right.
And so she basically writes me back 4 sentences. Here's the attached of when you were supposed to get paid. Basically telling me I'm not getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting paid for the time that I put in.
Yeah.
So I'm like, here I am, trying to advocate for myself and tell you that I worked, so I deserve my money. And you give me 4 measly sentences
Mm-hmm.
and attach a PDF and says, here, this was the dates, this was the
Yeah.
deadlines, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I have to go to my boss, who was also black.
Mm-hmm.
I tell her the situation, and I was taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But why didn't you want to listen to me?
Right.
See, I could have gave you grace if you would have explained to me what
Right.
happened, but instead you gave me 4 sentences.
Right.
But when my boss emails you, you give a full list of why and what happened and how it was your fault.
Yeah.
But when I said something, you didn't do that.
Right.
See, I could have gave you grace, but I'm not now.
Because yeah.
Because you played me.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? I advocated for myself.
Right.
Now I have to have somebody else black to advocate for myself, and it's like, you hear me?
Right.
Like,
Right.
no, I'm tired. Like,
Right.
that is one thing that I'm tired of. Like,
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you face 2 layers of it, because not only are you black, but you're also a black woman. So like that's a double on, like, okay, now we about to super oppress this person.
Yeah.
Like it's just, and not only are we about to super oppress this person, like we feel like we can get away with more. Like, and that's,
I'm glad you didn't stand for it though.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I was going to. Like, my boyfriend was like, you worked, get your money. And I'm like, no, I looked at the paper and it's right, I'm not going to get paid. He like, no, you need to say something else. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to though. And
Yeah,
I think that showed me like advocating for yourself. And then if need to, having someone else to advocate for you is necessary for you to get your reparations. Like,
I'm so glad too. Like, so where I work now, I have a black boss, and man, I'm so glad I do because there's some things that you need an advocate for.
Yes.
And it is important to have an advocate who has maybe a little more pull than you, but is able to kind of stand for your needs and is willing to use that pull for your needs. So.
Yeah, because they were able to move further into that space and get higher up into that space. So like that Maya Angelou quote says, I come as one and I stand as 10,000. Like sometimes you have to tap into that 10,000 and
but you need the strength, because it takes strength sometimes to tap into that. Because I know for me, it may not be the case for others, but for me, sometimes I want to save my tap-ins. Like I don't want to use my advocate too much, like, or otherwise, but that's what the advocate's there for. Right?
That's what the advocate's there for. But I think that it's also okay to like nudge your way ahead as much as you can on your own, because in that same breath, you're clearing space for the person that's going to come after you as well. So I completely understand that. But like, yeah. I'm definitely grateful for those people who have came before us and cleared space for us. So immensely grateful. And then I'm also grateful for the journey that we're on and the people next to us and the people behind us are on, as far as like creating more space and stepping into the space that was created for us. So not only are we creating black businesses, we're leaning into the value of those black businesses, and we're not being afraid to demand that we be supported. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of Rich Talk. See you all soon.
Thank you for listening to Rich Talk. Make sure you subscribe to our website at richmagdigital.com and follow us on all platforms.